Welcome back. America's AI Action Plan is the Trump administration's answer to winning the global AI race. The policy roadmap based on three key pillars: accelerating innovation, building infrastructure, and leading in global security. Michael Kratsios is director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. He has been leading this charge, testifying before the House Science Committee last week and urging lawmakers to support the government's AI strategy. Joining me now is the man himself, director of White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, Michael Kratsios. Michael, great to have you.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. So as director, tell us what is most important in terms of winning this AI race.
Well, we have to execute on the plan that we signed out in July. And as you mentioned, has those three pillars. The first one is all about innovation. We have to continue to create a regulatory environment where all of our great technology companies can actually commercialize their technologies in the U.S. And part of that is we have to keep applying AI to our most important scientific and technological questions. And that's all about continuing to out-innovate and outpace everyone around the world. The second pillar is about energy. We cannot win this AI race without having enough power and data centers to move ahead with all this AI innovation. And that's something that the White House is taking very seriously, and we're doing everything we can to drive the energy abundance agenda, as you know very well. And the last piece, and I think what's most relevant to us here in Davos, is how do we internationally share the American AI stack with the world? We want everyone that's building AI to be using our chips, our algorithms, our GPUs, and that's something that we want to share with the world.
Well, it's interesting because the U.S. seems to be in the lead on this semiconductor chip dominance race, and that's part of what you're saying. Signing a deal with Taiwan, which includes the $250 billion investment in American technology and $250 billion more in guarantees for further U.S. investment. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says this goal is to bring 40% of Taiwan's chip supply chain to American soil. This is a very important issue. If we don't have that kind of semiconductor chip production here, China, if it goes into Taiwan, will be able to turn the lights on and off in America. Is that right?
Absolutely. We have to find a way to bring chip production back here into the U.S. And it was quite an incredible deal that was signed by the president with Taiwan. The $500 billion that's coming in to build semiconductors here is going to be transformational. And we need to continue to do everything we can to be able to develop and fabricate these chips here in America.
So what is China doing? There are reports it's actually blocking the imports of NVIDIA's H200 chips cleared by the U.S. government. Some suppliers halting production parts over shipments that were rejected by Beijing. Is this what are they trying to tell us?
I'm not exactly sure. I think with us as administration, what we're trying to do and what the president directed was the very high-end chips, the Blackwells and the soon-to-be-produced Rubins, continue to be export controls, so the Chinese don't have access to them. The one level below that is the H200 that was licensed just last week, and now it's made available to Chinese companies to buy. And kind of what the internal politics there, I'm not quite sure.
Is that enough? I mean, will they be able to get around those export controls and still get their hands on the leading chips?
So far, I think we're doing a great job with controls in order to restrict that and make sure that doesn't happen. It's something that Secretary Lutnick takes very seriously, and so does BIS, and it's something that we're going to continue to watch very carefully.
What do you want to say to the skeptics who say, and I just asked KR Sridhar this, the CEO of Bloom, the skeptics are saying, look, we keep spending all this money on data centers, and we don't know the return on investment yet. And I asked NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang about it, and here's what he said. Watch this. Jensen, I want to get your take on all the money moving into the AI infrastructure build-out. How much are you expecting that to be, and will we see a return on investment in that money soon?
Artificial intelligence in the last year made some humongous breakthroughs. It is now effective, it's useful, it's generating really good results for users. It's impacting every single industry that we're observing. Everything from healthcare to, of course, enterprise computing, where we do work, and whether it's manufacturing, robotics, we're seeing breakthroughs in every industry. That platform shift is just beginning, and we're just seeing it so strong and accelerating because now fundamentally, finally, AI is delivering really great results. And it's the reason why we're seeing the fastest growing companies in the world.
We've got the results, Michael, but do you feel that the money is going overboard, overstepping in terms of what's needed?
I'm kind of more of a free market capitalist here. If there are these large AI companies and hyperscalers that believe that it makes sense to build these out and they're willing to make the investment, I'll take their word for it. I do agree also with Jensen that we are just in the beginning of the actual adoption of this technology across all of these industries in the U.S. So there's a long way to go.
This is so interesting, Michael. What a moment in time, and it's obviously impacting economic growth as well. You say more than 35,000 Americans have shown interest in the Tech Force Initiative, a government-wide hiring program launched last month to bring more technologists into federal agencies. I want to get your take on this because while we're all very excited about AI, we also understand AI efficiencies will kill some jobs.
Yeah, well, on the tech force specifically, I think it's a realization that we had in this administration that we may be leading the world in AI, but applying that great technology to the problems that everyday Americans face when they interact with the government has still a long, long way to go. And we launched this tech force program. We didn't know how many people were going to be interested, and we had this huge turnout. Over 35,000 Americans that said, hi, I will raise my hand. I want to come into government. I want to work on the hardest problems to create the best citizen-facing services for Americans who interact with government. So to me, I think it's a great opportunity to bring the best and brightest on a tour of duty into the government to solve some of these problems.
I love that, Michael. And look, I was really happy to see you bring up space because this is also a real issue with regard to national security. And I've been saying for so long that most people don't understand why space is so important. It's not some, a trip for fun. That's where our satellites are. So this is a national security issue. Tell us about that. We did a special for Fox Nation, Underwriting the Enemy and the Enemy Above, with regard to China's efforts in space. Assess that situation for us.
So space is very pivotal to our national security. Most of our communications run through our satellite infrastructure, and it continues to be more important as every year goes by. The president signed an executive order in December of last year where he laid out the national strategy on space and a direction that we're moving forward. So there's a commercial piece that a lot of people think about, an exploration piece where we're sending man back to the moon in 28. We're going to build a lunar base. We're going to put nuclear reactors on the moon and orbiting. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we're creating a system where the DoD and our intelligence community has the right assets in space to protect our country.
Really fascinating. Michael, we'll be watching your work. Such important work. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Michael Kratsios here in Davos. We're live from the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, all morning long and all week.